As I mentioned a while ago, New York City, among others, is facing a tremendous budgetary problem due in large part to the president's mishandling of the immigrant and the border crisis that's taking place. We're looking at all sorts of ramifications coming about as a result of these. And of course, as a result, some of the things, by the way, that are going to be cut in New York City, of course, education, libraries, but catch this, police funding. Yeah, the police funding is going to drop to the lowest since the early 1990s. Wow. Well, the left is furious about all of it. And quite frankly, so should citizens all across this country, because all of it comes back on the president's watch and the horrible policies on our southern border there. Well, I'm glad to be joined now to discuss this further with Congressman Randy Weber. He serves on the House Energy and Commerce Committee as well as the Committee on Science, Space and Technology. He represents the 14th Congressional District of the great state of Texas. Congressman Weber, thank you so much for joining us again on Washington Watch. Great to see you.
Thank you, Jody. Great to see you all.
Well, listen, let's begin with this whole thing. You obviously are from a border state yourself. You have seen up close and personal the ramifications of the president's policies on the border. But now the rippling effect is taking place in large cities all across the country, not the least of which is New York City. So just overall, give me your thoughts as to what Mayor Adams is talking about here.
You know, I would call it poetic justice, Jody, if it wasn't so sad. You know, I was in the Texas House for 4 years. I was vice chair of the Borders Committee my second term. We saw it up close and personal, as you pointed out. It's going on much, much worse today. And you probably know this about Texas. Since in 2021, we spent $4.5 billion going forward. And now they're looking at $4.6 billion in the next session coming up. We've been dealing with this for a long, long time. And these so-called sanctuary cities, quote unquote, turns out that they don't like what they're getting, even a minute percentage of what Texas is getting. And the fact that they're defunding, this sounds like the second phase of defunding police. It's unbelievable what they're doing. They're getting a taste of this medicine, and they don't like it. Maybe they'll start putting pressure on Biden and company to do especially Mayorkas, to do the right thing.
Yeah, you know, I think your description of this being poetic justice, it really is a reality. You and I, we've been to the border many times. Of course, you there from Texas have seen even more of it than I have, and I've been to all 9 sectors. I have some very dear friends who were just down there last week shooting a documentary, and the footage they got is horrendous. What you have experienced in Texas is nothing, like you said, compared to what's happening in New York City, and yet what's happening in New York City is overwhelming them. This ought to be sending chills up and down the spines of every American. You and your colleagues just this past week had some pretty strong words. You mentioned Secretary Mayorkas. Do you think anything ever is going to come about to hold him accountable for the horrible job he's doing?
Boy, I hope so, Jody. I was really just so disappointed and saddened that 8 of our colleagues voted not to move that impeachment resolution forward and rather to send it back to the committee. He has been, oh my gosh, he's been so derelict in his duties for the entire time. As I said, as the former vice chairman of the Borders Committee in Texas, I can tell you how bad things are. And the fact that he is turning a blind eye, he's living in a la-la land somewhere. Alice in Wonderland, maybe, I guess, him and the president. I just hope we can hold them both accountable, quite frankly.
I do too, and millions of Americans do as well, Congressman Randy Weber. Listen, I want to go on to some other topics, but you mentioned 8 of your colleagues who really voted with the Democrats not to hold Secretary Mayorkas accountable. And look, I am not going to ask you this. Yeah, I don't want to speculate too far because I understand that's all this is, this question. But do you have any idea why 8 of your colleagues feel as though holding Mayorkas accountable is somehow crossing a red line that they refuse to to cross? I mean, what? Any idea what they're thinking?
I do, Jody. I talked to a couple of them. You know me, I'm a pretty level-headed guy. I don't get mad. I don't get angry. I just go ask them what's the deal, reasoning, what was behind it. I'm not going to be, talked down to them for any reason, but a lot of people would have. But one of the things, most often things they stated was, look, it should go through the committee. It should go back to the Foreign Affairs Committee, who handle the border, or maybe it's Homeland Security, one of those two committees. And so that they could actually have a discussion about it. They could call in witnesses. They could swear them under oath. They could go through, as you know, what we call regular order. And they would get this handled through the committee and then bring it back to the House for a vote. But quite frankly, I understand that they want to abide by the institution's quote unquote rules, practices of regular order. But so much is at stake here, and we need to act quickly. And this guy has been in front of the committees before. You've seen the videos, Jody. He's got we have operational control of the border. He is out to lunch on this. I think they're getting exactly what they want. They want more people coming in, and he really needs to be held accountable and as quickly as possible. We didn't talk about this, but there's a lot of illegals coming across. When I say illegals, I mean foreign fighters, possibly. I don't know if you've seen those numbers. There's about 72,000 illegals. These are the ones that we know about that the Border Patrol has caught. Afghanistan, Yemen, Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Egypt, Pakistan, Mauritania, Uzbekistan, and Turkey. There's 72,000 of them. Now, Jody, if we missed 10%, those are what they call the gotaways. If we missed 10% of those foreign illegals coming in from those what I'd call those countries prone to more terrorism, 10% of that would be 7,200 possible terrorists in this country right now.
Yeah, hundreds potentially of terror cell groups here. It's unthinkable. It really is. And listen, I do hope y'all will be able to hold some accountability. Let me ask you real quickly, because our time is running away. But speaking of national security, which the southern border certainly is, but the president met with the Chinese president yesterday, and among other things, they discussed green energy. And it looks, says me, I'd like your opinion, that the president was out-negotiated. The deal that's seemingly going to be made, that China is going to be loose at best at upholding their end of the deal, but it's going to put us in shackles in terms of our own energy. Your thoughts on the president's deal on green energy?
He's oblivious to the facts. Renewables are good. Renewables cannot play a leading role in our energy sectors here. It can play a supporting role, but we better be energy independent and energy dominant in the world. For him to think that he can make a contract with killers and communists, that's where they are, how they treat the Uyghurs and other people, and that they would uphold that agreement, contract, whatever you're going to call it, treaty, whatever. He's oblivious. And not only that, but if he starts reining in more of the fossil fuel industry and killing our industry over there, and then expecting us to buy more products, well, guess who manufactures the most green energy products? It's China. China's economy, as you know, is struggling. Why would we want to help them, especially at the expense of tearing down our fossil fuel energy sector? It makes no sense.
It makes no sense, and that's the $6 million question, so to speak, that needs to be answered, and we need answers. The American people deserve answers. Congressman Randy Weber from Texas, always great to see you, my friend. Wishing you and your family the greatest of Thanksgivings. Thank you for joining us on Washington Watch.
Same to you, Jody. Thank you.